A love letter to my first date. Open thy eyes and look at the sky. Shades of green and blue covering most. Rise and set with the transition that fly. Sight of an urban that living to cost. Thy sweet placid wind that captures the heart. Blowing that whispers yet in key of A. Not living with art but living in art. Green and beat for the giant that shouts hey. Aid ask the one that doesn't approach. Sweats, bells, and exhales in morning days. Volleyball men and bubbling bird join, some baying company to safeguard your space. A similar manner in every aisle, a traveler's approach, welcome to lifeline. Angono, Rizal. Angono lies 30 kilometers east of Manila and some 16 kilometers away from Pasig. It is situated on the southwestern portion of province of Rizal, located approximately between 14 degrees north latitude and 121 degrees east longitude. It is bounded by Taytay on the northwest, Antipolo on the north, Binangonan on the southeast, and Laguna de Bay on the southwest. Going back to history, Angono is the first district of Rizal. It is a dandy municipality in which the municipal hall, plaza, church, markets, and the barangays were bounded closely. It's like during the Spanish era where the church was like the kilometer zero. Residents' economic lifeblood are hinged on agriculture, fishery, commercial, and manufacturing. Angono today as a first-class municipality is more well known as a town with a unique cultural life history, with its citizens having achieved much in the artistic fields of painting, music, sculpture, and native artistic traditions. A household name, Carlos Botang Francisco, one of the Philippines' most outstanding post-war painters, while Maestro Lucio Di San Pedro was a national artist for music. The form started with art shops and galleries and ateliers. Fiestas and church celebrations are special occasions when colorful traditions such as the making of giant paper figures are displayed for both tourists and local residents. Angono is notable to many as the art capital of the Philippines. The art tourism industry is one of the key sectors that Angono identified as a promising source of growth and employment for the local government. Angono Rizal's projected population by 2021 is 124,341, and within that population, in the sex distribution, most residents of Angono are female with a percentage of 50.30% and male with just a percentage of 49.70%. The age distribution where most residents are teens to young adults, and by that distribution, the distribution by school, work, and dependent age groups where mostly are working. And based on the demographic profile of the prominent religion in Angono is Roman Catholic. In helping a community to fill its cup, we have to be aware of what fills and lacks it, by means that what it does not fills enough, that builds up the community and the wellness of those residents in the community. Angono boasts more than 500 painters alone, excluding other artists such as the musicians, writers, video and film editors, theater people, craftsmen, and church-based heritage and cultural workers. Art galleries and museums, as well as studios of individual artists abound, which have become favorite places among local and international guests visiting the town, particularly the Blanco Museum, Penaranda Art House, Botong Studio, Balo Balo Restaurant and Folk Art Museum. Now, the project site is located in Carnation Street, Don Mariano Avenue, Barangay San Isidro, Angono, Rizal. The site can be accessed through these routes, where this route is from the city or the Manila up to the site, and this route is from the neighboring municipality, which is also used as an alternate route from Antipolo, Rizal, and these routes from the town center or where most commercial areas are located. The site is centered around existing structures and landmarks which are Angono Forest Park, Loyola Retreat House, and SM Center Angono. It is approximately 700 meters away from SM Center Angono and 200 meters away to its closest landmarks, which are Angono Forest Park, Loyola Retreat House, and also 1,500 meters away from Angono's Municipal Hall. Going back to what fills and what lacks the community, since we have the site to work on, the question is, what should we work on it to help our community achieve its desired amusement? Also, considering now the discussed demographics and socio-cultural parameters. With the existing site around, let's focus on the Angono Forest Park, which is one of the tourist spots. I've read some comments what some visitors experience on that space is it lacks amusement. Since it's just a forest park, I've seen comments that it is just plainly trees and animals in the small zoo it has. Now, digging in Angono, being the art capital of the Philippines, since Angono is rich with artists by blood and artists by hearts, galleries or exhibits are plenty, but the problem is it is scattered, which, looking at the bright side, gallery or museum hopping in Angono is good since it has the chance to tour the Angono, but in accessibility and space-wise, people would want something intact. That's why most are the go-to places. Everything is already in there. You don't have to exert much effort in traveling to some area and still see everything in it. I've come up to the idea that people enjoy all-in-one spaces. Leaves ages of kids to teens and adults to seniors are left here. With the culture and routine most people have is spending time through leisure activities, especially in the morning. And the problem now is it lacks recreation and open space for leisure in the area, and with that, it focuses on the availability of the space. There are existing open space for leisure activities there, but in where the site is located in Barangay San Isidro, it is kind of far from those spaces. And also knowing Barangay San Isidro is used as a residential area, it is where most people reside, then it is a must for them to have a leisure space in it. And lastly, as a respect for the pre-existing structure around it, and considering the ambience of the space and structure, where a forest park and retreat house are located, and a few close residential areas, we have to put appropriate structure for the community around it. The proposed architectural intervention is Urban Space and Cultural Center. The project ARCS Angono Recreational Cluster Studio. The urban space will be composed of open, flexible space and a space for leisure, focused for kids, and a playground. The cultural center will be composed of space for the artists, which will be an exhibit area, workshop space, and a studio. The project goals for the art and community. And the project objectives are creating a variety of spaces flexibly focused on one activity per area provided, allocating appropriate proportion of space prioritized on providing open spaces for leisure, having a strategic site acquainted to the local arts of Angono, and producing a space that offers connection to the space and to the community residents. For the project agenda for the community, for the tourism, for the artists, and especially for the environment. Now the arts, we need to something that can cater visually and for those who are performing, and for the urban, those leisure space and those space for them to interact. The conclusion of activities that can be done and will be implemented in the space ranked by the most to least, where the level of noise and interaction will be performing, practicing, playing activities, socializing, workshop, retail, and the least were just the viewing and lounging. These are the spaces that will be needed and provided in accordance to the concluded activities that will be done in the space and categorized to urban space, cultural space, and labeled as additional space, where the urban space consists of those space for playing activities, socializing, and lounging. The cultural space were those for performing, practicing, and viewing, and the addition just for the workshop and retail. The site is located in a forest and park and recreation land use, where now mostly trees are existing around and where the site's topology is in a high area. It is elevated to the near residential neighborhood. It is located in the corner lot where it is pretty distant to the closest existing structures around and a residential area in the lower area. Note in the physical parameters. The climate parameters are first, the sun direction from the east, sunrise, to the west, sunset. Then, the wind direction from the east to west as well. Visually, the site is filled with trees and the views are mostly trees. The site can be viewed from the sides or corners since it is located in a corner area. Auditory speaking, the ambience is quiet since it is distant from the existing structures, except where in the lower area is the residential site where possibly you can absorb noise or emit noise too. And lastly, the breeze won't be a problem since it is located in a high or elevated land and the trees are present in the surroundings, so you will be getting cooler air than the usual temperature in Angono. The design response vignette space. Since the area is not as compact or filled with existing structure and for the activities to be grouped, I've come up to scatter it through making it a clustered structure. Then, the noise, it is considered that the noise is possibly to absorb or to emit, placing the area of the activities depending on its noise and movement as ranked earlier. And then, for the privacy or space, I categorize it as a private and public space for the public where the area would likely to stay or do some activity, and that is the open, flexible space to do any activities. So it is the area where should be most accessible inside, and the private space where it is focused on a specific activity and activities done will be limited to just those who needed the space, like focused on artistic activities. And space allocation in interaction, although it is a clustered, the hierarchy of the space still matters as the activities and the space depending on the movement that will be done in it, and the connection of those clusters in accordance with the activities and routines of the space. The design process or space allocation. Urban space for the playing ground, open space, and pavilion. The cultural will consist of the exposition or exhibit area, studio, audiovisual room that will serve as the mini theater, and the addition space for the workshop, forum, stores, and of course mini toilets. The space connection. The Venn diagram of the spaces, urban, cultural, and addition, where all meet at the commons or the pavilions. The hierarchy of spaces. This will be the hierarchy of the spaces based on the diagram. The design of the structure is first, placing the high-story buildings in the west side for where the sunset is going that direction, acting as a shade for the open area. The openings like the windows won't be directly open for where the sun will pass through out the day in order to protect the art pieces and for the performances not to be bothered by the sun, and openings mostly on the east side for the air to pass through the structure. The cluster 1 consists of the playing ground, and the open space. The open space for all to utilize and a playground for the kids. The Cluster 2 consists of the pavilion or the commons, a high airy area with an open entrance and exit point. The Cluster 3 consists of the exhibit area, an open area at the first floor for space for performances for the public crowd, and a toilet and forum space at the second floor. The Cluster 4 consists of the studios and the theaters, or the audiovisual room. The first floor of the structure, wherein the outside is a small open stage for public performances, and can be used as well for leisure activities, and inside is a curved hallway for exhibit of art pieces, and an open flexible space where it can be used also in performances or for events, or can be used for exhibit as well. And the second floor, a curved edged room where the space is focused for the audiovisual room or the mini theater. And the third floor consists of a room for activities or forum, the toilets, and a bridge connecting to Cluster 3's roof deck. And the Cluster 5 consists of the workshop, the forum, and the toilets. And lastly, on the first floor is an elevated floor for the workshop and mini store, going upward to a loft for extra space for the activity, bridging to the Cluster 3's second floor where an open space is.